Hello and good evening, everyone. It is Monday night, and that means it's time for another episode of Small Biz Highlight. My name is Tiffany Roman, and I am your host, and I cannot wait to introduce you to some amazing business owners tonight. But first, couple pieces of information to start off with. First of all, we are live with StreamYard. So what does that mean? Well, if you are catching us live on Facebook, welcome. It would be very helpful if you were to leave a comment or, a question of some sort to have StreamYard and Facebook talk to each other so that we could know your name and see your picture because, we like to know who's talking to us, not just what you've got to say. So it's very simple. You go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, helps them speak to each other, and boom, you're in. I will make sure it's copied and pasted into the comments for easy clicking, but it should be in the description of the video. But anyway, moving on. As always, I am promoting this year as 2020 You, a year of more acceptance, more love, and faith in yourself. We have been through so much the last 2 years, all of us, in different ways, shapes, and forms. And I just felt like this year had to be dedicated to just loving ourselves a little bit more in whatever that means for you. So I'm selfishly using all of you as my accountability partners in this. So feel free to use me. And maybe it's a good idea, but you want to do it with some friends and family, feel free to share along. I would love to hear your journeys and what you're doing with yourself this year to just learn to accept and love and have more faith in yourself. Starting April 18th, guys, that's in 1 week. April 18th, I'm going to be hosting a live Q&A session. What does that mean? I'm an open book. Whatever questions you have for me, whether it be about the podcast, maybe you want to learn more about me personally, my journey through postpartum depression, my journey through getting help from my son with his ADHD that I'm still struggling with, whatever it may be, I want you all to get to know me. I started this business not really expecting it to become a full-time gig, and it has. And I am so grateful for that. But along the way, I forgot to, really let you guys get to know me and why I'm doing this. So that's what the Q&A is for. So you have to chime in and see what I've got to say. All questions welcome. Besides, that week on the 20th is our 2-year anniversary. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe it's almost 2 years already. Anyway, moving on. So tonight, I am honored to introduce you to a gentleman who really needs no introduction. I'm just kidding. Cory Myres is amazing. You're gonna have a lot of fun listening to him. So let's get him on screen. Hopefully, as long as my computer wants to work for me. There we go. Hey, Cory.
Hey, guys. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Technical stuff is working so far so good, so we're on a roll.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Well, I'm really excited to be here. I've shared it out with my groups and my pages, and hopefully you can ask me some great questions and we can get some answers out.
Oh my gosh, no pressure, people. You see
no
this?
pressure.
See this? This is what I have to put up with. All right. Well, Cory, we're going to start out with a question that trips people up sometimes. I'm not going to lie. They get thrown off their game a little bit, so we're going to see how it throws you off a little. Cory Myres, who are you?
Well, I am a veteran and an outdoorsman and an adventurer. But, climbing mountains and doing things like that doesn't always pay the bills. So I also apply strategy to businesses. And so my personality is mixed with how I do business as well. So I'm a dog lover. I absolutely love to make friends and not just have clients. So that's who I am. I've moved to Austin in the last year. So I've been here a little over a year, but I'm a Texas native. So from Lubbock, Texas. And we might have to switch the guns up to some horns here soon.
Oh goodness, here we go. Ay, ay, ay. Well, first of all, thank you for your service to our country. That's how we connected. If you didn't know, guys, for those of you who are new, I'm a veteran too. And we actually connected through one of the amazing Facebook groups on Facebook. Um, just connecting veteran business owners and giving us the opportunity to kind of share what we do. So that's how this happened, this episode. So we'll see how it goes. But Cory, all right, so I'm really excited to learn more about your actual business here because it sounds really interesting and very involved. I'm not gonna lie. So the way you described your business to me was that
Sorry, we
you're
got dog
pairing.
toys hitting the ground.
You described your business by pairing Fortune 500 principles to small to mid-size on enterprise level businesses. Like, okay, that's a lot to digest there. Let's break it down a little bit further here. What is it
Okay.
exactly that you're doing at Gravir?
All right. I make big concepts small so that we can apply them to your business. How about that? Is that short enough?
Okay. No, yeah, that makes total sense. Because
So from the military, we have, that's the biggest corporation in the world, really. And
yes.
so taking some of that, and I worked at Caterpillar. I've worked all over the place, and so I've learned a lot of Fortune 500 principles, like I say. And what we really want to do is help small businesses and mid-sized enterprises to excel at what they do because they're the backbone of the United States and of the world, small businesses.
Wow. Okay. So give us an example of some of those principles that you are helping these businesses kind of develop into their business structure.
Well, first you have to look at strategy. And if you're a small business owner, sometimes strategy seems like this faraway concept.
Hmm.
But we break that down really simply and give you the tools to formulate a strategy and evaluate your initiatives and
Hmm.
then pick the right initiatives to move forward instead of just kind of guessing and shooting a random arrow somewhere and hoping it hits the target. And
Now I
then,
know. Oh, sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
You go. Go. Go.
Oh, I was going to say, so first is strategy. Second, you have to look at process. And so a
Mm.
lot of people, um, they have their process down and it's all up in their head. But what we really want to do is just write it down and put it into a format where someone else can do what you were doing so that it can be taken off of your plate at some point. A lot of small business owners and even mid-sized enterprise owners, they have to do everything. They have to put their hands on everything. And that's simply just not economical. And you don't get to take as many cool vacations if you do that.
It's not
And
healthy either.
oh
Goodness.
man, no, yeah, and it really you have to build that trust
Hmm.
with doing that. You have to trust other people. Now, guess what? They're not going to do it right the first time. Nobody is because
No.
it's your process. But once you learn that and you say, okay, this is the process of teaching, then you really start to begin pushing some of that and delegating some of that out. And that brings me to the third part is teachability and teaching. I absolutely love teaching business concepts, whether it's leadership, whether it's process engineering, all of these complex things. I love to break it down and like the military, we say Crayola style. But yeah, I love to make sure that those are learnable and teachable things.
Wow. It's so amazing that you mentioned how it's so easy for small businesses, even mid-sized businesses, to fall into that trap because it is a trap, guys. It's so easy to get so enveloped and into building your own business that you forget that there are capable people out there that could actually help you. I know this because I'm guilty of it myself. So, it's hard because it's also very scary because this is like another baby, if anything, like another child. You're developing it, you're growing it, it's growing. And, now it's up to you to continue develop it and help it progress and find different ways to do that. But along the way, you are so like stuck on the idea that this is mine, that you forget that, okay, I really need to look for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of like I've heard it compared to the father-daughter complex of like, are there boys in the
Okay.
front yard, looking out the window? And I think that's about right. I don't want somebody else touching my daughter, So it's like, hey, but at a certain point, and I've got a wedding to attend this weekend. At a certain point, you got to give her away, right? And
Yeah.
somebody else is going to do a really great job of taking care of your baby. And so some of growing a business is to sell it and to exit. At a certain point, you might want to retire. You might want to hand it off to the kids. You might
Oh,
want to
yeah.
sell it. There's all kinds of different options at the end of the road. But for now, let's just grow it, right?
Yeah, I think that's a concept that has really gone to the back seat a little bit, especially because we've been so ingrained with the idea that we have to find a corporate job and we have to stay there for however many upteen years until we retire. And then we retire, and then whatever's left of our lives, we just kind of live it out. But there's been multiple people throughout history that have been the ones that started the business, and because they were able to get to the point where they could sell it or at least get help to have people pretty much run it for them, that now they're able to live in the success of their business but also live a life that they've dreamed of, and I feel like that is just still something that people aren't grasping, that is absolutely possible for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always say start with the exit strategy. I'm
Mm.
sorry, my dog is going crazy over this toy. Let me get it over there so it doesn't make any
You're
noise.
fine. I don't even
My
hear him.
camera
You're
is probably
fine.
we're having an earthquake over here. But yeah, so the big things are process and making sure that those rules are followed with your strategy, that you have a routine. There's a lot of things that
Mm,
can change throughout your day, but if you have a routine, then you can set your boundaries and say, absolutely not. I have something that's always on Tuesday at this time. I can't go eat lunch with you and have this meeting at that time. And
mm.
then now, I call it the train tracks because now we're on track, but we know where we're going, so we can put something onto that schedule later on. And so even those small things, those are, Fortune 500 principles.
Oh, yeah.
Mars Pet Care and Snickers and M&M's uses it. Caterpillar uses it. All of these things. There's all kinds of businesses and Fortune 50 companies, they're
Mm,
out there using these principles and teaching their staff and leadership, um, that can be used by someone who's never worked for Caterpillar and or never worked for um, big companies. So if you don't have that experience, that's unfortunately where I come in. But it really does help to have at least some type of mentor or some type of coach or some type of consultant to help strengthen those things that you may be weak in.
is it ever too late to get started with a mentor in your business? Because I tell you what, it's not something that people automatically will say, yes, the first step you do is find a mentor when you're starting your business. They'll go every other route beyond that and then go to find their mentor. Would you
Yeah.
think that?
I think it's never too early and it's never too late. There are some cases where you might have dug yourself into a big hole,
Oh,
but there's
yes.
always a solution to dig out of that. There's always something that can be done if the business has value and provides value to the community. If the business is actually doing something that the community would pay money for, and you can build around that. There's always ways to raise capital. There's always
Mm.
ways to find ways to sell your wares or your services. And I think people get into a rough spot, and that's entrepreneurship. It's ups and downs. I mean, I'm running my own business. Like I said, I just moved from Lubbock um, to Austin
Mm.
because COVID struck and things like that hit.
Mm.
So we have to be cognizant. I've had troubles in my own business, and I've just taken those as learning experiences. But you can't lose faith, because entrepreneurship is definitely hard.
Gosh, it is hard. And I'm glad you brought up COVID because, we really love listening to different ways that the pandemic shutdowns and all of that have affected different types of businesses. How would you say it affected yours?
Very, very poorly.
Mm.
It didn't go well. Um,
Mm.
so, my business over the last 6 years has been face to face, handshakes, eye contact. If you like me personally, then I like you personally. Let's do some business.
Yes.
And that's how I've always just done business. Because I was from a small town, it opens a lot of doors to just be personable, right?
Mm.
The shift during COVID to go all digital, even though I've been using Zoom and I've been using Google Meet and all these other platforms for a long, long time, I've worn out so many webcams, it's not even funny. Um, but I even though I was using those as tools, I wasn't using them as selling tools. And
Mm.
so my network really uh you know, I I failed in forming a good network. I don't want to say my network failed, because they were doing what they did, but I built the wrong network in the wrong area. And so, what I've been doing now, the new shift has been to build a more robust network, making sure to get to know people and understand, hey, this person can help you, even though Cory might not be able to. When I'm meeting with somebody, I always have a resource I can pull out of my bag and write down a phone
Mm.
number for them, or an
Yes.
email, or connect them on Facebook or LinkedIn. So there's always those resources through networking in a more robust way and a more intentional way. I was going to the networking meeting and meeting the people that they were exposing me to. That's it, you know.
I
or I would
know.
go, or I would go to a conference in Dallas or Denver or San Francisco and meet people there. But when you don't have live conferences, that's pretty hard. So shifting to a new sales method, shifting to a new delivery method. A lot of times I was going to somebody's office, and sometimes I would even set up shop. I would pull my laptop out and have my own little office at their workplace to get my work done. And now I have to set up, automated services where I can set up meetings and set up interviews, take surveys from the employees. There's a lot of things that, depending on what I'm asked to do, I can grab that statistical information and help that business out. But I have to do
Mm.
it in a different way now. So
Yeah.
instead of having them fill out a piece of paper, I send them a survey online,
Yeah.
and then we talk about it afterwards on a Zoom call. So it's really, really a different era because of COVID. And I think it's, I won't say better. I still like to shake hands and look people in the eye. Um, but it's opened my mind up, even though I'm a business owner myself. I had to change. I had to change drastically to make things work.
Hmm. Yeah. It's crazy the different stories that happen because of a result of the pandemic shutdowns and just everything in general. It's definitely been a huge shift for so many different businesses. And I mean, even you, you said you were already somewhat digital, but then to go 100% digital was just something so not in your wheelhouse, basically. You want
Yeah,
to be in people's faces and making sure that they remember you. And that's so hard to adjust to.
absolutely. And the handshake and the being there is was 99% of my sales, but having to do it over a webcam or a telephone, that's a different level of sales that I'm not really, still to this day, not really comfortable. I still want to be your friend first and see if
Hmm.
we can do something to help your business out and make $1 million shift.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play a short little commercial here. When we get back, I really want to learn more about how someone would get started with you in becoming a customer with you, learning from you, the whole process. All right? So, give me 1 second. We will be right back.
Are you tired of missed business opportunities because you don't have the marketing tools that big companies do? Do you want to generate more sales with less effort or technical knowledge? Text for More is a digital marketing solution that is both your digital brochure and web presence that connects you directly to your customers. Best of all, Text for More is proven to deliver results. In fact, some of our clients have seen their monthly revenue increase by as much as 5 times in the first couple of months. To get started today, text the keyword MORE to 317-342-8114 and see how we can assist you. Text for More. Next generation brochures for the digital age.
All right, we are back with Mr. Cory Myres here, who's been going back and forth with me here, talking about pandemic struggles of going, from being face to face with people and then going 100% digital. I mean, and just giving amazing advice and tidbits for what his business is doing for small to mid-sized businesses, where, he's basically bringing big business tactics and making it possible for the small business to carry it on and make them just as successful. Ha! How'd that go down? Was that pretty good?
Sounds good.
All
You
right.
should be my new spokesperson.
Ooh, I like this idea. Let's talk. I'm just kidding. So, like promised, I really want to dive into what the procedure is like for someone who'd want to get started to work with you. How does that what is entailed in that process?
Well, normally someone would come to me if they have a problem and they have roughly identified, hey, I think this is going on, or something like that in my business. Hey, I think we're hemorrhaging money somewhere and I can't find it. I think my employees could be more efficient and more happy because they know what they're doing on a daily basis instead of
Mm,
recreating the wheel. Um, those types of problems, if you have something that you've identified, I'm going to come in and do a diagnosis, and just like a doctor would, and we'll talk to your employees, we'll figure out, we'll kind of do an investigation, and that right there is the first step to anything.
mm.
um,
Okay.
it has to be done. I have to research and I have to find the root cause. Because guess what? As the CEO, the owner, the operator, your employees may not be telling you what the problem is,
Oh, of
or
course.
they might not know themselves. And they're like, "Hey, we found the solution. We duct taped a broom to something, and now we can reach the light bulbs and screw in the light bulbs, or something." And so I've seen it all. In fact, this is a great time to tell a story.
Mm, okay.
I went to a brewery, a beer brewery, and they're located in Texas. That's all I'll say. But they had a piece of tape on their canning line. So normally you brew the beer, and all this stuff, and get all the liquid ready. And then you got the cans, and you put them on the canning line, and it goes through and fills the can and caps the can and does that. Well, they had this piece of tape, and I said, "What's that for?" And they said, "Oh, that's the 12th can." And I said, "Oh, like the Aggies or something?" And I just joking. And they said, "No, it's the 12th can. Every 12th can gets the machine just crushes it. It fills it up with beer, crushes it, sprays beer all over the place, and then we have to shut down the machine, clean the machine, and do all that." So what we do is we have one of our young employees stand there and pick off the 12th can every time. And so with the
one way to do it.
Yeah, so they've got a name for this type of action. It's called the hidden factory. And a lot of people don't realize that that's costing them money. You could just get the machine recalibrated. It might end up being $12,000 depending on your canning or bottling line. However, that's going to cost you a lot less in the long run, not having to have somebody there all the time. Oh, they missed a can, so now it's going to crush and spew all over the place. Now you've got to shut down the machine and clean it. That's all hands on deck. So I need to go in and find those things that might be ailing the business and costing the business money in order for you to make your team more efficient, to make them happier at work. Who wants to pull cans off of a canning line all the time? Yeah. That's not a good job. That doesn't sound fun. So those different types of things, you don't even have to know what's going wrong in your business to have a diagnosis and have me come in and look around, snoop around. I'm sorry, I've never found a perfect business. It just doesn't exist. Yeah. Everybody's got some ways that they can improve. So we start there. That's the immediate thing, is to find out what is costing your business. Then, just like the strategy that I talked about earlier, we want to evaluate initiatives to fix those things. So that 12th can thing might not be important today. We might have a more pressing issue. And so let's fix the more pressing issue before we call out the guy to fix the canning line. And sometimes these problems are just so big that we need to solve them right now. The faster we solve $1 million problem, your 5 years starts now, right? You just saved $5 million. So if we solve a small problem like that canning thing, that's a couple of $1,000, but that's not really going to collapse your business. So we want to prioritize that stuff. And then, when we do the diagnosis, we kind of go over that, we have a discussion, and then we look forward to either helping you implement the solution, finding you an implementation solution outside of Gravir Strategy, or maybe you've got the staff and you say, "Hey, we can handle this." And then you'll call me back in about 6 months and you'll say, "We can't handle this. We didn't do it." But I'm joking. A lot of businesses do have a lot of great resources and, proactive management staff and, even, just the brand new employee. He's got big ideas or she's got great ideas. And they help to remedy some problems by getting rid of that inefficiency. And so just because you've been in the business 40 years doesn't mean that this person can't help out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think businesses like yours are so important, especially nowadays, with all these small businesses that, have survived the pandemic shutdowns and have gotten over that little hump, if you will, for lack of a better term here or phrase, I guess. But, it's so important for them to take those moments, to have someone like you come in and just really dive in and be like, what is going on here? What can I do that's better? Where can I save money? Because there's just too many small businesses closing. Too many of them.
And that's really my aim with this. I could, be a consultant in a niche thing that really goes after the Fortune 500 companies, and I'm going to fix this one thing for anybody who asks, and I'm going to charge all this money for it. But that doesn't help the mom and pops that
Yes.
are struggling out there. And unfortunately there's a lot of small businesses that are just too small for me to spend my physical time out there going through your books and doing all that. And so what I've done as well is I've created the Level Up communities, and I'm popping those up on Facebook. They're free to join. All I ask is that you ask your questions and be open and honest with everybody. And then if you've got the answers, answer some questions
Oh,
from somebody
absolutely.
else. So that's a free resource because it's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. It's something that I feel like if I can help the most businesses, then I can. And sometimes I get on Facebook and I'll answer questions if somebody's got something. So
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, your business sounds so it when I was reading the description you gave me of your business, I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot." Like I said at the beginning, I was like, "That's a lot to take in," because, it just sounds so important what you're doing. But at the same time, it has to be so helpful for the businesses that you do take that take your advice, your strategies, what have you, and then end up benefiting so much from it. Recognizing, oh, well, duh, I should have known better than to do this that way or whatever. And sometimes it takes a third outside party to be like, hey, yo, you're screwing up, for the person to be like, you know what, you're right. Because they get so stuck in their ways and the way they want to do things that they think that's the only way to do it. Meanwhile, here comes somebody outside their world letting them know there is a new way, a more effective way, and they, have no other choice but to really accept it because, the evidence is in front of them.
I
That's
like to
essentially what
say,
you're
pop in
doing.
the bubble. You pop the
Yes,
bubble. You've
that is
got this
essentially what
bubble
you're
that you
doing.
live in, and you got to involve other people. You got to read. You got to do all these other things to get that outside knowledge inside
Yes.
of your business, and then you've got to hire a diverse work group. Diversity and inclusion not only means different people, but
Hmm.
they're different knowledge bases,
Yes.
they're different experiences. So someone that has worked in a different field, but they've got some skills that you need, maybe bring them in because they're going to look at your business with a different viewpoint. There's different leadership strategies. If you need someone to turn a ship around, hey, I've got this department that's just absolutely awful. You got to bring in a coercive leader, and that stinks sometimes because it's like, do exactly what I say so that this will
Hmm.
be correct, or you're fired. And that's a coercive leader, and you got to know when to that contract ends, right? You got to know
Yes.
when that coercive leader's got to be replaced with okay, we've got a good team, we've got this, let's put this coercive leader somewhere else now. And that happens a lot with car dealerships that are they have big conglomerates that own a bunch of car dealerships. They'll take that coercive leader. He's a nice guy. He's a really, personable guy, but or woman for that instance. But if you don't do it their way, you're fired
Mm.
because we need to
Right.
right this ship. It's important for us to not lose money. And if you're not going to say exactly what I tell you to say, and if you do that and you lose the sale, then it's my fault. If you don't do it, it's your fault, isn't it? So
Mm.
there's a lot of different like intricacies in the leadership and process sphere. And so I really try to stay in that. But I try to network and learn about other people that are consultants and find out what they consult in. I have really great partners that do retail development. So we're gonna develop your brand and get it ready for putting on the shelves of Target and Walmart and things like that. And we're gonna educate you on how the lingo goes and all that stuff. And
Wow.
Ashley's a fantastic person to do that. but I've also got some hands that, they're working on their own projects. They've got their own company and they do very similar stuff to me. So when I need an extra set of hands or when they need an extra set of hands, we work together. And so I have a great network, and I love to just connect people, even if it's not a great fit for you and my company.
Well, I think it sounds like a no-brainer that anybody watching this episode and has any inclination that they need someone to come in and see what they're doing, or maybe they need help figuring out where to go from here, whatever your thought process is for your business, Cory is your guy, plain and simple. Plain and simple. Thank you so much, Cory, for being here. I've had a really great time talking to you. And it's been so great listening to everything that you're doing with your business. I mean, it's so much to take in, but at the same time, it's just so educational. I just love what you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Okay. Well, that does that for this episode. I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Text for More, really quick. Be sure to text Small Biz to 717-670-6400 and check out our awesome digital brochure that they've made for us. It's amazing. We need your help spreading the word about Small Biz Highlight, guys. We are a small business and we live off of word of mouth. And even more now because my invite friends button is missing off my Facebook business page. So I can't even invite people to like my show. So I need your help. It takes 2 seconds and will cost you nothing. Press share, text somebody, comment below the video, and not text, what is it called? I'm blanking here. Tag somebody. That's it. Don't judge me, people. Okay, it happens to everybody and you know it. But tag a friend at the bottom of this page that may be struggling or maybe needs some assistance, that Cory can hook up with them. Spread the love, because spreading the word about Small Biz Highlight not only spreads the word about the show, but also all 127 of my guests so far. How crazy is that to think about for a second there? One post and you've given the opportunity for all 127 of my guests to have exposure. That's insane. But thank you again, Cory. I will leave you all with your friendly reminder to put your community first. We do that by shopping small and supporting local. See you in just a few minutes when I log in with another guest. He's a lot of fun. We'll love some dad jokes and is from Australia. So we're going to love the accent. Stay tuned.